So we're gonna teach you on how to disassemble a system unit. For the first step on disassembling a system unit, we're gonna need to remove all the peripherals or connector that is connected in your system unit, monitor, or power supply. Take note also this, before to proceed on the next step, it was much better if we lay down our system unit so that we can easily remove all the parts inside the system unit. For the next step, before we actually open the system unit, we highly recommend you to wear your anti-ground tool so that we can avoid some accident like ground or shock. So for the third step, we're gonna open the system unit by removing the chassis by sliding it from left to right. So for the fourth step, we're gonna remove all the connectors that is plugged in. Take note also of this, when we're removing the unplugged connectors, we need to make sure that we're removing it slowly and safely so that we can avoid the unnecessary damage on your equipment. On your equipment. For the fifth step on disassembling a system unit, we're gonna need to remove the power supply by removing the screw that connected on the back of it. For the next step or the sixth step, we're gonna need to remove the SSD or solid state drive. To remove it, we're just gonna do what we did before on the power supply. We're gonna need to remove the screw that's connected to it. For the seventh step, we will remove the RAM that is connected on your motherboard. When removing it, we also take note that we remove it safely and slowly because it's a bit sensitive to avoid the unnecessary damage on your equipment. For the eighth and last step for disassembling a system unit, we're gonna remove the motherboard. To remove the motherboard, we're gonna need to remove all the screw that is connected to it. After that, we're gonna leave it so that we can remove the motherboard outside the case. So now, we're gonna move on to the step-by-step on how to assemble a system unit. Before we move on to the initial step on how to assemble a system unit, we highly recommend you to wear your anti-ground bracelet so that we can avoid unnecessary harmful accident like ground and shock. So for the first step on assembling a system unit, we're gonna install the RAM back to the motherboard by opening the RAM slot, aligning the notches on the RAM stick with those on the slot, and firmly press down until it clicks to the places. For the second step, we're gonna install the motherboard into the case by aligning the motherboard with the standoff in the case and screw it in using the appropriate screw and make sure it's securely in the place. For the third step, we're gonna install the power supply by aligning it to its proper place and securing it with the screw. For the fourth step, we're gonna install the SSD or solid state drive by just like what we did on the previous step, which is we're gonna align the SSD on its proper place and securing it with screw. For the next step, we need to connect the peripherals by connecting the storage drive, case fans, and any other peripherals like USB headers or front panel connectors to the motherboard. Make sure also that all cables and components are securely connected in their proper places. For the sixth step, we will gonna need to close up the case by putting the side panel back to the case and securing them with the screw. And before we wrap it up, we will first gonna see if the system unit is working by connecting the power cord to the PSU, plugging it in, and turning on the system. If everything is connected correctly, we will gonna see the system to boot up.